Hello, welcome back to Billy Ho Sports. Bit of a slow week in racing. We've got the wildfires out in California. My heart goes out to all you all. It's not like you're not dealing with an apocalypse down that way. And we're moaning and groaning about 7 inches of snow and some ice and some school closings here in Louisville. So thoughts and prayers to you, everybody out there in the racing community. I know there's a lot of fans out there of Santa Anita and places at that out west. So stay safe. And we're going to get into today's preview. And what I decided to do before the official entries of the Pegasus came out, I wanted to do a season, kind of a season preview, so to speak. And it's going to end up being top 10 4-year-olds and up, older male horses, dirt male. So kind of like a divisional thing. And I may continue to do so to see how people, this is like the most popular division. So let me know in the comments if you like it. And we'll get into things, maybe do some more divisions down the road in this month. But slow week anyway. Turfway got canceled last week as well due to the weather here. So anyway, some of these horses probably will run in the Pegasus, which I will have a preview video out. I believe the invites have gone out. I've got a good idea on the field on who's all going to run. So I'll do a preview video on that, be out probably by first of the week. And then we will get into this video. And as always, free to subscribe. Appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Finally got to that 2,500 mark. It seemed to take a little bit longer, but it's kind of a slow time of the year. Things are going to ramp up. We're going to get big 2025 coming. So hit that like button while you're at it. Let's jump right into this. We're not going to go in order, so you have to stick around toward the end when I reveal the top 10. So let's get into things. But we will start with Sierra Leone, the winner of the Breeders' Cup Classic. Will race in 2025. Probably going to the Saudi Cup in Dubai, February 22nd. Training that way right now. Some horses will run at Gulfstream, and it's really tough. I think National Treasure did it last year. I can't remember if any other horses that tried to hit the Pegasus, then go out to Dubai a month later. And you saw that National Treasure won the Pegasus last year, but he did not really run well in Dubai. So kind of a tough transition to make that trip after only a month off. So anyway, no info on when Sierra Leone is going to be available, but I'm pretty confident Dubai is the answer. 3-year-old season was a hell of a ride. He dominated the Derby Trail, nearly winning the Kentucky Derby, and we've gone over that ad nauseum. Big stretch drives that didn't quite get there. Third in the Belmont, second Jim Dandy, third again in the Travers. Then we get to the BC Classic, and it's kind of like, oh, he can't get it done, right? Well, now I think they changed strategy up a little bit and got him closer to the lead. Big move around the turn, got him up to claim that crown. Ultra consistent closer. He's going to be in for a big year, I think. So Sierra Leone, and his biggest rival could possibly be Fierceness. Also a horse with a bit of a maligned 2024. Like Sierra Leone took a lot of knocks for the drifting and the change in the equipment and the jockey, the controversial firing, so to speak, of Tyler Gaffleone after the ride in the Kentucky Derby, all that kind of stuff. But Fierceness has similar issues of his own. He got a reputation of, like every other race, like he couldn't put back-to-back races together. And then it kind of came out that he was not coming out of the race. Like he'd just run an absolute monster and then just be kind of off his next race. But it was largely due to his recovery. He was losing too much weight, and it wasn't maintaining his weight and not eating right and all that kind of good stuff. But I think they give him just a little bit longer off and get him right before they get him back on the track. So I think they got that solved because the 2-year-old champ did enter the Kentucky Derby as one of the favorites, but he faded, as we know. Like we said, every other race thing because he dominated the Florida Derby. But he came back after the summertime, some time off with a vengeance, winning back to back Jim Dandy and Traverse States. And then coming into the Breeders' Cup Classic as one of the favorites as well, he ran lights out on the lead. He was my pick to win. He could have mailed it in at the top of the stretch when he was caught by Sierra Leone, but he dug deep and gave his best. But it was just Sierra Leone edging away late. But he still ran a great race. Well, he had a little bit of an issue with the hind leg in December, so he got they elected to have the surgery. And he'll need about 45 days of recovery time. Owner Mike Rapoli said he's looking at 3 races for next year for his speedster, Son of City of Light. Met Mile sounds great. The Whitney sounds great, and then the Classic. So, not saying, and I thought about doing some bold predictions here, but like Sierra Leone, he could be a horse that could possibly repeat. I'm not going to predict that, but he's going to win one of those biggies next year. But Fierceness is another one. I think he rolls in the Met Mile if he goes. But the Whitney and then the Classic, he could roll up all 3. To be honest with you, we'll have to see how the form goes. Then our next contestant is White Barrio. Dealt with a cracked hoof and then was off for a little while after being nowhere near contention in the Met Mile. He returned to the track in November, won, then jumped up to the Grade 3 Mr. Prospector. And after watching that race, he literally froze like this and on his hind legs, like he was springing into action. But then it was like somebody paused him for a second, and then he took off out of the gate. So he spotted the field a ton, and he got just too far behind. He rallied. He rolled down the stretch. Of course, they did come home a hair on the slow side because it was like 13 and change for that last furlong. But he rallied gamely for second, and I think he'll be in the Pegasus World Cup, one of the top contenders in my opinion. Another one that's already in is Locked, trained by Todd Pletcher. This one had a rough 3-year-old season, looking like a serious contender for the Kentucky Derby. Won a big race at Keeneland Futurity last fall as a 2-year-old, and then his third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile in 2023. But March 2024, he suffered a knee injury, and it kind of just derailed his Derby aspirations. But then he returned in the fall, and that win in the Cigar Mile was impressive. That put him right back on the map. So he's pointed to the Pegasus World Cup. Well, if he just rinses and repeats and wins that race against older, well, he's a 4-year-old now, but he'll be facing, older horses. So serious contender there. And then a horse which I almost laughed at myself, Forever Young. I loved Forever Young last year even in the Derby. Almost went in the Kentucky Derby. I almost left him off the list. It was like he out of sight, out of mind, I guess, which I'll have a take on that here in just a second. But I avoided that foul ball. So he's going to get docked a little bit because I fear that we're only going to see him run against the best of the best in Dubai for the World Cup there, and then in Breeders' Cup Classic in the fall. And that's as far as the U.S. goes. That might be his only United States race, as far as I know. And then he'll run in Japan. So, but if he runs in just those 2, I would predict that he's going to win one of the other. He just looks that good. So another horse making its way back on the stakes scene for Kenny McPeek's Rattle and Roll. Injury kept him out almost a full year, I believe. He returned to the same Grade 2 Lucas Classic that he had run in the previous year. So it was like almost a full year to the day since he had raced. And he ran a really competent third in that race. McPeek, very pleased with that effort. And you had to believe he's even happier after he impressively won the Clark Stakes Grade 2, his next race. He's a closer, working his way back into form. If he finds the groove he had like back in 2023 when he was really running some huge numbers, he's going to be a major player in the division coming up. Another one that hopefully with some adjustments will be a player as well is Mindframe. Resumed training late December after a layoff. He had a bone bruise. Owner Mike Rapoli is looking to March for his next race. I think they want to try him in Dubai in early April. Mindframe was a May foal, so that the hence kind of the late start to his career. So he didn't even race at two. Came on the scene and kind of midway through the 3-year-old season, won his first two, then impressed everybody with that big effort in the Belmont Stakes. But the thing of it is, everybody saw him drifting out. Well, it came out later that he has an aversion, some horses' sensitivity to the crop when being whipped. So I don't know if they've remedied that or not. But second in the Haskell after that, I didn't think the Haskell was all that this year, but he did run second in that one, lost to a close one to Dornock. So it is interesting that he was noted for not responding to the crop, like I mentioned before. So we'll see how he looks. I don't know when he's going to pop up, but I think Dubai is the best bet for that. Then we have.
Hello, Billy Ho here. As the sole creator for this channel, I need you, the viewer, to help me grow. Just by subscribing to the channel and clicking that like button alone, you can help spread Billy Ho Sports to the racing community on YouTube.
All right. Next up, I wanted to discuss Subantador. That's trained by Dick Mandela. Ankle injury in October of 2024 led to his withdrawal from the Breeders' Cup. Was riding some really great form. Argentinian, shipped to the U.S. and then came under Dick Mandela's training. 10 furlongs, classic effort, finishing fourth in the Hollywood Gold Cup. Then a monster effort in the California Crown, stalked the great National Treasure, and he ran him down at the wire, going 9 furlongs. But thankfully, he didn't need surgery for that injury. So he's right at the 3-month recovery period. So he should be on the track training very soon. Late spring, I would guess. Another Argentinian shipper is Full Serrano. Very impressive horse from the John Sadler barn. And actually, Subantador was John Sadler's horse as well. Due to the sale of the horse to another barn, that's when the shift in trainers occurred. Got to mention that. Sorry. But Full Serrano, Argentinian shipper, versatile horse, has a ton of speed and has performed major races. I mean, 10 furlong Pacific Classic, where he nearly took them all the way, and then rounded that back out, winning the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile after that. It was just really an amazing effort to be able to have that kind of front-running speed in 2 different types of races like that. He was going to run in the Lafitte Penkai Stakes last December, but that was going to be his prep for a trip to Saudi. But he had a minor injury, so he's going to need 60 days of recovery. Sadler said he'll be back in the late spring, summer. So next up for us is going to be Highland Falls, training for the Great Bragg Cox. 9th place in the Breeders' Cup Classic, which was kind of disappointing. But a little bit of a wise guy horse after a dominating performance in the Jockey Club Gold Cup at the Spa, Saratoga. A son of Curlin, relentless on the leaders, just presses them until they submit, like he did to Arthur's Ride in that race. He'll be in the mix as one of the top older males on dirt. Cox has operations all over the country, so I was really trying to figure out where he'll go. I'm going to guess that he might return in the spring at Fairgrounds. I saw the Grade 2 New Orleans Classic in March. Looked like he would be a good fit for that race, but we'll see. Another one of my favorites, the gritty Skippy Longstocking, 6-year-old. This horse has turned out to be a bit of a tweener, so he's not quite fast enough to run those 6-7 furlong sprints, but he doesn't have the stamina to do the classic 10 furlong distance. So he's pretty damn good at the 8 and 9 furlong thing, though. So don't dismiss him. He'll be likely competitor in the race coming up in a couple of weeks at Gulfstream, Pegasus. He ran into Woodward, was beaten at the wire by Tappan Trice, but that was on a muddy track. He looked like he had that in the bag. Uh, Defended his championship at the Charlestown Classic, so that was back to back for him. So he's a factor at that 8 mile to 9 furlong distance as well. But I'm going to go ahead and give a top 10 here. I could go over all kinds of horses, but we're going to just do this real quick. It's not all resume. I didn't go through that. I did look into past performances, but I'm interested in what I feel like they'll do this year. So I ranked them as such. And then my own bias baked in. As a big fan, let's go. Gun Runner, Progeny 1 2. So Sierra Leone is obviously number one. He's just, there's just no disproving that, in my opinion. Just as good as he is going to be a huge factor this year. And then I'm going to go with a bit of a bold prediction is Locked. I think Locked is going to he's a Gun Runner progeny as well. I think he is going to have a big year. I put him ahead of Fierceness, which is a little bit blasphemous, but anyway, really high on him on the Derby Trail last year, and I'm really excited to have him back and running well again. Fierceness, another horse I love. He logs in at third, and really it's 2 and 2A almost in a sense, but this diminutive colt can flat out fly when he's on his game. And hopefully the connection's got that post-race recovery adjusted. It appears so because he ran 3 straight monster races and to end the 2024 season. So then we have Forever Young. And I said he got dinged a little bit. I probably would have put him third. I don't know where I would have put him. I think I would have probably gone Fierceness 2 for Forever Young 3 and that way, and then maybe push Lock down to 4. But Forever Young, the lack of competition I think that he's anticipated to face this year gave me the flexibility to put Locked in at second. So we got Forever Young. I think he's got to go in the top 5. He's too good not to, even though he'll have probably some races in Japan, I imagine. He might not race more than 4 times. As they get older, these big time horses don't like to race them a whole lot anymore anyway. But I could see him doing at least 3. I mean, we obviously know the book ended Dubai and Breeders' Cup Classic, but I feel like he's going to have 1 or 2 races in there somewhere at least. Anyway, so after him is White Barrio. At 5, I think White Barrio is coming back. I thought maybe he was washed up, but then he had an injury and he took some time off. And that race, I think he looked all right in the Mr. Prospector. We'll see how he does in the Pegasus because I do believe he's going there. So after that, we'll probably know if he's fitting being at number 5. Then we have the 6th spot narrowly goes to Mindframe. He just passes the eyeball test, and I think a more mature horse. I think he's trainable. I think they'll get him clear of any problems he had with the crop, unless he has some kind of serious skin condition, sensitivity thing or whatever. But I don't know. Anyway, he's going to be a formidable opponent this year, I do believe. And number 7, I'm putting Full Serrano in there. The speed he showed in both those Pacific and Breeders' Cup Mile in 2 versatile races was just special, I thought. So I don't know, or I don't care if he carries it. Well, I mean, I do care, but I don't know if he will carry it over. But I'm going to say that he's a top 10 contender this year. I'm also predicting some good things for old Rattle and Roll, who came back on the scene for Kenny McPeak. He passed on the Breeders' Cup Classic to err on the side of caution because he had just come back on the track just recently, like we were talking about, and winning that Clark Stakes. So I think that was good caution. But he's right back to training less than 2 weeks after the Breeders' Cup, and he's had about six or 8 works since then. So he's prepping for that Pegasus Cup. So he's a closer, and he'll be in that mix as well. So I think a solid performance there will set the table for 2025 for him. And then, okay, Skippy, you the horse. You deserve a spot. 9th in the countdown. He could be higher if he had better or any efforts at 10 furlongs. I think he went 10 furlongs once in his life. But he did run pretty well there. I believe that was the Belmont. And it was actually not a mile and a quarter. It was a little further than that because the Belmont was the standard distance that year. Okay, rounding us out, Highland Falls at number 10. He may move up the ranks later in the year, but his lack of response in the Classic and limited Grade 1 experience kind of left him there. I'm going to throw out some honorable mentions. Like I did talk about Subsanador. He was first out. I had to eliminate somebody once I rediscovered that I left off Forever Young. He was in there, but he's first out, so honorable mention to him. Another one I liked a lot was Pyrenees. He ran some really good races and didn't really get the look that he should have. Another one, Newgate for Bob Baffert. It's a 4-year-old that's shown some flashes. So let me know in the comments if I missed anybody that you're interested in. Remember, it's 4-year-old male dirt, 4-year-olds and up, right? So hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to subscribe to the channel and smash that like button. And we're going to catch you very soon. Best of luck. See ya.